Woo! Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm here with my teacher, Suzanne Spooner. I consider you my teacher, my
Oh
QHHT
gosh.
teacher, Suzanne.
Oh,
Since
stop,
it's
stop
day
it,
one.
Holly.
So thank you for being here. And Sarah Restwing Cosme, so a newer but dearer friend. And so really, really glad you guys are here with me today. So much fun. We are going to talk about the ancients and really answering this question. So I'm a skeptic, guys. I'm going to play the role of skeptic today. Why do we care? Right? Why do we care about ancient stuff and how does that really inform moving forward? Because I've never been on any of your Egypt trips. I'm probably never gonna, because I'd prefer to stop at like the south of France and like drink some wine on the beach instead of going to Egypt, which sounds kind of busy and bustly and dirty and crowded and yeah. So convince me, why do I need to go to Egypt and why does it matter?
Oh gosh.
Suzanne, you want to start us?
Well, it's that, but in a really beautiful way. I mean, the busier places of Egypt, like Cairo, it's it's um it's it's very chaotic on the surface, but
Mhm.
it's kind of like a symphony of movement and traffic and people, and they know what they're doing, and you just kind of go with the flow. It's a good lesson in going with the flow.
Uh, uh,
But the people there are just amazing. They're very heart-focused people. They're very caring for the visitors that come, and we're well taken care of. And the sights are just jaw-dropping and affect and change everybody that goes there. And Sarah and I just have such a nice, fun time helping people uncover, their past lifetimes there and the energy there. So I think it's a win-win. I love going there.
I
okay.
don't even know. I
I
didn't
don't know
even
that I'm
want to
convinced.
go.
Sarah, tell me, why do I want to go to Egypt?
I didn't want to go either. Like I love the hot weather and I love like the tropics and things like that. And when I first went to Egypt with Julia and Kaya to like assist in that class, I just thought, why? Like why Egypt, you know?
Yeah, we could
Like
stop in Nice and have a lovely time.
yeah, I totally felt that way too. And then I got there and then I realized that it wasn't it wasn't all about like what I was going to see, but what I was going to feel and how it was going to actually change me energetically. And what was interesting was I really didn't know what to expect, when I went there the first time. But I did know, not only did I notice that everybody that went was different after, but like there was something about me that I couldn't put my finger on that had shifted, so to speak. And I noticed this also with my sessions. And what I thought was really interesting was after that first time I went, there were other people, they were all practitioners that were keeping touch with one another. And they were remarking this about this too. They were like, I don't know exactly what happened when I went to these places, but I know that I'm different and I can't really put my finger on it. I know my sessions are different. I know people are like just healing in my presence, but they couldn't really figure it out. So now that I know that something shifts each time I go, for me personally, I feel like there is this non-physical and physical alignment that happens to my energetic system. And I feel like every time I go, I know a lot more about myself. I feel like it's like not only I love the places now because I find them to be very beautiful, like just the landscape and go to Aswan and to see like the camels and to see the pyramids and it's actually really beautiful. And a lot of these places are tropical, but it's like a fast track for me, like spiritually. And so when I go there, I do feel like a different person each time. And I feel like whatever it was that was out of alignment in my life, it's like forced into alignment. Like it's almost like wearing moldavite, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's like it forces you, okay, this is what you need to do, and this is your purpose. And I absolutely love it. Plus, I absolutely love Suzanne. I mean, who doesn't, you know? It's like I get to hang out with Suzanne all the time.
We do
We
we
just
have
get
a lot of
so
fun.
great. We have a lot of fun. And the people that come are just so beautiful. And I love getting to know all the people that come. And it's just like a big family, you know, before lunch on the first day. And everybody's just like really close with each other. And if they aren't, they just tell everybody TMI anyway, and they become close.
That's funny. That's funny. So, okay, so I'm getting convinced. Um, how many trips have you guys
Easy.
gone on together?
Oh, golly. Are we in our third year of doing this?
I don't, five,
Five?
I think we, yeah,
four,
4 or 5 times. Five?
yeah,
Five? I
yeah.
don't know. Enough. A
And
lot.
you've got a couple more coming up, right?
Yeah, we have
We
two coming up, but they're totally sold out. But we're going to do a really, really special one in 2026, so people can see
no, no,
the
no. 2027.
2027. Yeah,
What's going on in that one?
the
Well,
eclipse.
wait, let's go back. We are going 2026.
Sorry, guys.
Oh,
Looking back.
We are going in 2026 with our normal tours,
yeah.
probably at least twice in 2026. But 2027 is when the solar eclipse is going to happen, right? Or over Luxor.
Whoa, really?
Like the
Wow.
line of totality is right
Wow.
there.
Okay.
So we're arranging something very special. We can't say too much about it yet, but it'll be flipping awesome. Like it'll be mind-blowingly awesome.
Wow. I mean, just to see that would just
Yeah. And to be, right there, where all that ancient energy is at and the sites and it's going to be pretty sweet.
You
cool.
know, Egypt is really not only just about seeing these places, but it's about feeling the places. At least that's how I feel. Our trip is so different than other people's trips because if you go with someone else, I'm sure it's amazing and mind-blowing, but you're really going to hear them talk about it, which we talk a lot about, you know, what we know from sessions and things
Mm,
like that.
yeah.
But the whole purpose of the trip is more for you to feel yourself in these places because there are energetic shifts in each place. And so to understand like how to maximize this and how to like really experience these places for yourself and what kind of information do you get, I feel like is the focus of our trip more so than let me just tell you all about like what, you know, this is about. And we
Which it
do that
is.
too, but the focus is different.
Yeah. Got it. Got it.
We don't, we one of the cool fun things that we do is we put in several group past life regressions. And
Oh,
because everybody wants to know, have I had a lifetime here, or can I tap into the collective consciousness of these spaces? And one of the funnest ones we had was we had a long bus ride from one site to another. And so we did a group past life regression on the bus. And if you can imagine, I mean, everybody's like this and like that. And, there's horns honking and there's, goats and camels going by. And, it's just, it wouldn't be a classic conducive environment for a group past life regression. And I'm telling you, we had people go in and have experiences that swear to gosh, they've tried so many times to be hypnotized and couldn't and received information. So
wow.
how like it's like when any group comes together, it's like it seems like it's a bunch of random people that signed up, but when you really get together, you realize everything is intentional and everybody's there that's supposed to be there. So that's one of the other really cool things. It's just this like beautiful family reunion, and and even in
From
the
from from eons ago.
From
Yeah.
eons ago. Yeah. And their shared memories that they have of being in these places or the collective consciousness. It's so heart and mind expanding. It's just always a juicy trip. So good.
Cool.
I love watching the group too because they're all strangers in the beginning and they don't know, you know, if they're going to say something wrong or whatever in the very beginning. And then at the end, like actually there are two people that have moved in together. Like I love
What?
how they just become a tribe and a family and it's just so
Oh,
special. I
Oh,
really love that.
we had a couple get engaged on our
Yeah.
first trip. That was fun. That
Mhm.
was so
wow.
sweet.
We had a couple meet each other and fall in love. I mean, it's
Wow.
just really amazing to watch. Just like people are searching for their tribe and it's wonderful when everybody can come together and just be on the same wavelength and then just develop these relationships.
So you can land in Nice, have a glass of wine or two, and then get back on the plane and keep going to Cairo, right?
Yeah, that's a short flight. That's a piece of cake, Holly. Geez.
You know, it's not just it doesn't just look like Cairo on these trips. I mean, there are beautiful islands that we take a boat to, like
Mm.
the real Isis temple, where a lot of people feel that they can really tune into Isis. Especially the temple that was the original temple, and the temple was moved. But when people go there, a lot of people have a lot very strong emotion that surfaces, as they can actually feel her consciousness. In some of these places, like I mean, people under hypnosis will say, like, the consciousness is still very much there. It's very strong in these places, and anyone can tap in. You don't need like a special tool. You can just go to these places and ask.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's more than the place. So how has any one of the many experiences that you've had there, how has it changed you personally? Like what was an aha moment for you in these ancient places?
You go
Oh,
first, Sarah.
okay. Um, I, well, okay, I just learned that I have basically done this before, and I think most of us are excited about doing something or we feel really called to do something if there's a tie to, other existences. And when I'm there, I just feel like it's so familiar. There's a part of me that feels sort of like home when I go there to some degree. Um, but I think the way that it's really changed me is that it really does push me into what my true desires are. And I feel like it fast tracks me for my purpose. You know, every time I'm there, I feel like I have no choice but to be more in alignment with everything. I
Mhm.
mean, um, and also, I feel like it's healed things on subtle layers that I wasn't really aware of that I needed healing. Every time I go into some of these places and I've become more accustomed to the energy of these places, I feel like it's working with me and kind of like communicating with me. And I think when I first started going, I didn't realize how conscious the places really were and what exactly was happening to my energetic system until I noticed that just me going has affected everything, not only everything in my life, but every person I come in contact with. I feel like I'm gaining knowledge that hasn't been articulated, but it has changed me on many levels.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. How about you, Suzanne? What was your big spiritual aha moments being in one of these energetic places?
There's been so many. Every time I go there, there's maybe a place or two that just like really hits me, or I have an experience or a memory at, and I think, oh, this must be my place. And then I go again, and it's like, oh, there's not much happened there, but but over here, whoa, what was that? And that's been it's kind of like it's a surprise party, that Egypt's gifting us
Ah,
with these experiences. But probably, one of the Well, okay, yeah, probably one of the cooler ones is I've had an experience at this site twice, but it's Kom Ombo. It's a temple of two gods, which is a unique type of temple. Usually they're dedicated to one god. And this is like the hospital, the surgical temple. So this is where you see the hieroglyphs of the surgical instruments on it.
Mhm.
So fascinating. And so a couple of trips ago, I was kind of wandering around after, the group had kind of had, we had a little talk and then, we let people go and go explore. And there was this gentleman that worked there at the temple, and he's got his long robe on, and he looks at me and goes like this. Now, that's a funny thing because it can be one of two things. It can be a totally mystical experience. He knows a spot and he's gonna take you there, and it's jaw-dropping. And it can be these tourists, will probably
Yeah,
give me $20 and
we got to shut it down right now. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So, it's kind of like do I go? Do I not? Do I go? And I'm like, heck, let's just do it.
yeah.
And so I followed him and he brought me over to this structure. It just looks like almost like a phone booth, a little bit wider. And you had, I mean, I'm little, so I had to kind of like hoist myself up into it. And then there's this beautiful weathered stone seat at the back of it. So it goes from side to side, kind of about as wide as this chair. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And he's like, 3 minutes, I'm like, all right, I got it. And I'm like, okay, I just totally got took, this is what in the heck did I do this for? And I'm like, just close your eyes and meditate for a few minutes, see what you get. And so I noticed that there was a hum that I was hearing. And so my logical brain goes, there must be an airplane overhead. Because it was getting louder and louder. And then I'm like, oh my God, like we're in the middle of nowhere. Like there's no airplanes here. And so and then I finally settled myself down and just like took it in. It was like you could feel the vibration. It was crazy. And that hum went up to a crescendo and then it started to go back down. And then he says, okay, it's time. And I looked at him like, what the heck was that? And yeah, that's all I got out of that first time. This last time Sarah and I went, we did the little talk there and I like beelined. Like I'm heading right back over there. I want to see what that place is again. And same guy was there. So I know he doesn't remember me, but I remembered him and I give him a big hug. And I got into the chamber. It's a frequency chamber. And sure enough, there's a hum in it again. And this time I was smart enough to take my phone and record the hum, which seemed to be coming up from the top of this chamber. And I was able to share it with friends on Facebook. And it was amazing to hear what their comments were from it. Some people said that they received healing just by listening to it. Others had epiphanies and ahas from listening to it. And we keep this. Oh my gosh, we have the most amazing Egyptologist, Vivian Zaki, that goes with us. We adore her. Everybody on our tours thinks of her as a sister. She's just amazing. And so this time I pulled Vivian over to interpret for me and asking him, what is this structure?
Right.
And so they were talking about it being a frequency chamber and it would heal people. And, we were in the healing temple
Uh-huh.
of Kom Ombo. So, I mean, that's that's ancient technology that's still
Working.
functioning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I want to get into the Sphinx. Sarah, I read your book
Oh,
and
thank
loved
you for
it. Absolutely loved it. Hypnotist Journey to the Secrets of the Sphinx, I think is what it's called, right? Did I get that right? And I wore my red crystals today
Oh.
in honor of it because you tell us, well, your client tells us about the red crystals.
Mhm.
So, what have you found out for the audience? What have you found out about the Sphinx? And you guys go to the Sphinx sometimes on these trips, right?
Yeah, we have private entry so that we get to see the sunrise between the paws of the Sphinx, just our group.
Wow.
And we do a meditation so that we can connect with the consciousness of the Sphinx. And many people, my clients, higher selves, and have talked about the Sphinx having its own consciousness or personality that can be felt there. And a lot of these places seem to be like very alive and conscious, kind of like going into a garden. If you really sit quietly in there, you can feel the garden almost like talking to you. Well, it's a similar type of experience. And what my clients have talked about is that the Sphinx is like a record keeper, and there are many Sphinx-like structures all over this planet and other, planets or realms, whatever you want to call that, almost like a broadcasting system. So it'll record and broadcast information that comes back to the Sphinx. Some people remember that it was like an outpost of Atlantis and that it marked like the territory of where Atlantis kind of began and ended. People remember storing red crystals underneath it. And people also remember that you can access like a lot of these light codes just by going to a place like that. So what I understand or what I've heard is that whenever you go to any of these highly powered, like energetic spots that are built on specific energy, some people call it like ley lines or just particular coordinates that are full of energy, that it works with your own energetic system. So you could just go and receive the information just by tuning in to the Sphinx. So many people notice that in any of these hot spots, about like a foot and a half off the ground, are these energetic codes that work with your own crown chakra to communicate what this information is. So no matter what anyone takes from the Sphinx or, takes from any of these energetic spots, the light codes are still there, and that's something that you can tune into. But when people have looked underneath the Sphinx, I thought it was super fascinating because they see that there are lots of tunnels, and people talk about this all the time, that there's this underground networking tunnel system underneath Cairo. And we even go underneath Cairo into this place called the Osiris shaft, which is really interesting because it's all the way underneath Cairo, but there's all these tunnel systems. But people remember that there were things like a big scrying lens, some red crystals, monatomic gold. They see white powder underneath there. But when it comes to the red crystals, a lot of people notice that there are red crystals, and when they try to trace back the red crystals, they can't see exactly where they came from. It's almost like they didn't always come from this realm, but the red crystals seem to be used in other realms and other like existences where they would create another realm with these red crystals. So the red crystals seem to be so extremely powerful that they themselves have a consciousness that work with people when they come into some of these places. Like the Great Pyramid apparently has one of these special crystals. They use these crystals in Atlantis. They use these crystals in ancient times in like Lemuria. And these crystals are so powerful that they could create a realm, they could destroy civilizations. They're just extremely powerful crystals. And it seems like certain bloodlines can actually use these crystals better than other bloodlines. There seems to be something within this bloodline that could read the crystal too. So it's really, really interesting that we've, used these, but we can't seem to be able to be trusted with them right now.
Mhm.
So they've been like hidden away, but there's just so much to the red crystals. And I, when I've asked where are they, it seems like they're buried in Nova Scotia somewhere, like miles and miles deep on like one of those places in Nova Scotia. And there's like all this treasure that's been hidden from us, but
Wow.
eventually we will find it.
Wow. So when you guys go under the Sphinx in your trips, like what do people see? Suzanne, what's it
We
look
don't
like now?
go,
Is it just a big cave or
we don't go
oh,
under.
oh you
There's
don't
no
go
way
under
to
the
go
Sphinx.
under.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't let you
Although
do.
there is like a little doorway at the very back of the Sphinx by the tail, where it comes out. And we've had some people that kind of lift that up a little bit, and it's like, should I, shouldn't I? I'm like, no, don't go to jail in Cairo. You can't do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but the Osiris shaft is very, very close to the Sphinx. It's like it's a close walking distance.
Mm.
And so that shaft is amazing because it's three subterranean rooms that the first room is not a lot going on there. It's a little bit smaller. You take a ladder down a little ways, and then you take a ladder down to the next chamber, and that room is quite a bit bigger. And there are two sarcophaguses in there. And the story is one is for Osiris and one is for Set, his brother, um, who killed him. So um, now the common sense question is, how in the world did they get a several ton sarcophagus, two of them, into this underground chamber? So it's interesting. Now, most people don't get to go into the Osiris shaft. That's something that's special for our group. It's a private opening, not open to the public. And so one of the cool things that Sarah and I noticed when we went down there the first time was there's pottery shards and there's bones, things that have laid there probably for thousands of years. And then the third chamber, I didn't go this last time, but Sarah did. The first time, it's the Nile River runs underneath Cairo, and so the water was coming up. So you could only step down maybe a couple of steps on a ladder, and then it's water. But was it down lower last time, Sarah?
Yeah, last time we went, you could still go down to the second level, but there is water all the way at the very bottom. But I think what's so amazing to experience is the feeling of being in the earth there, and the water is still running underneath, creating like a circuit. So there's a different type of energy when the water is still running underneath, like it apparently was back in the ancient days, and that generates a whole bunch of energy. And the Osiris shaft is interesting because every year the Venus will shine on it. So it makes you question, was this like a hiding spot for somebody or something? Because why would this be in the exact location of where, you can actually see Venus in the sky at this particular spot. So it's really interesting that they have these very large sarcophagus boxes that are a lot like the underground Serapeum. And it's like, are we just coming across like a hiding spot for something? Maybe like high technology that needed to be hidden in these types of boxes? I mean, when you go underneath and you see like the underground Serapeum or the Osiris shaft, it's almost like you can feel and sense that there's some extraterrestrial involvement there, because it doesn't make any sense, like Suzanne said, that someone could actually physically bring these type of heavy boxes down there. And then it's like, then it begs the question, what were they used for? Because why would they need such huge boxes for like a body? Doesn't really quite make sense. Possibly they were trying to save something or artifacts, or something was stored in there. Maybe that was very energetic in nature.
Yeah.
Well, and the other really cool story about, I mean, it's really all of the sites there, but the Osiris shaft for sure is on a ley line that goes to other sacred places in Aswan and Luxor. The pyramids are on, similar ley lines. So, I mean, there's just nothing that is, oh, a coincidence.
Right.
Everything is astrologically lined up. It's lined up with the ley lines on Earth, and other pyramids and places around the earth are on those same ley lines. So,
Which brings us to the idea of the portals. What do you
Mhm.
think about the portals, Suzanne? Do you think
Oh yeah,
that's a portal?
yeah. It's like portal country there. I mean, there's um, um, there's false doorways in different areas that we visit, that are considered to be portals. It's the experiences that our clients, our friends, become our friends that come on our trips have with that portal energy is astounding. I mean, you watch people shift and change and take in this energy. It's like everything is destined to be. So they're at the place and the time to receive whatever energy or gift that they are receiving. And that's why it's just a juicy, juicy place with very lovely, connected people who are like the keepers. Like the Egyptian people are, you see it in their eyes. They just have so much love, and it they're really a critical component to the maintaining of these sacred sites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a fast track to spiritual ascension, really. This is how it feels. We always call it like the lazy ascension.
In
Wow.
really nice hotels.
They're really nice
Really
hotels.
Great food and yeah.
The hotels are so magical. I mean, I love the food and the hotels because the hotels are like bigger than my first apartment in Boston. Really, I'm serious. They're so nice.
So we were talking before we went live, we were talking about Crestone, and there are portals there.
Mm.
And there are these structures that are called stone huts. And if you go and see them, they have this little sign on it that says ancient Native American artifacts, do not disturb. And there's like 6 or 7 of these. They call them stone huts, but they're just rocks all piled up, and they're about 6 feet in diameter, about 6 feet tall, and about 1.5 people can get on their hands and knees and go inside these huts.
One and a
I had
half
a client
people, like that'd be hard.
I'm sorry,
One and a half people.
1.5 people. Yeah, we're too small, two Suzannes.
It's funny.
And so I had a client who was from Crestone, and he came over and he wanted to understand more about these stone huts. And the higher self said they're portals. They're still portals. And they're about 100,000 years old. They used to be pyramids clad in gold. And he had found a capstone, of like a pyramid shaped capstone. They told him yes. And they actually told him in a session where to go find another capstone. And he did after a session. And so I'm like, okay, portals to and from where? And they said, the higher self said, the Pleiades. And I'm like, oh, okay. And still to this day, they're used. The Pleiadians come in and out of these stone huts that aren't stone huts. And so then I had to ask, I'm like, so why? Why do the Pleiadians need these portals? And they said, oh, this is so sweet, to see their children.
Aw.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So what do you think about the portaling that's going on with the Sphinx or other areas in Egypt? Like, what's the purpose of the portaling in that area?
Well, maybe one possibility is so that it's easier for other versions of ourselves to like make contact with ourselves because I think there are natural portals anytime we're in between anything, like in between day and night, or, the solstice or the equinox. But when you go to a place in where there are portals, there's a thinning of, the veil, or even a thinning of our conscious mind, which is probably the same thing. So
Mhm.
we can speak with other versions of ourselves easier. Like that's one of the reasons we go see the Sphinx in between the night and the morning, because it acts as like an in-between time, and it's easier to receive messages. But I think that it helps because I think it's easier for these other versions of ourselves, which are also us, just experiencing a different life in this now moment as a different being, communicating with us, or even like future versions of ourselves making, contact and communicating.
And you talked about that in your book, like this aspect of time. time suspension or time traveling or time shifting. I don't know what you want to call it. Is that what you're talking about? Like you can
Yeah.
access yourself across time?
Yeah, it actually it's happened. I don't know if you guys receive this in your sessions, but I find it really fascinating that like our future selves make contact with us all the time. And it's like shows us things and we don't even really know we because we have so many filters on our mind, but we can come into our lives all the time and put things in our life. Our future self can, but everything's happening in this now moment. It's really interesting. Like people will remember like living in a town where there were people from the future that were there just working on technology or working on something, which I think is really interesting. But yeah, I mean, every other higher level beings or whatever you want to call that, other versions of ourselves, because it's all us anyway, have just talked about how there's no such thing as time. And the way, I mean, they've described it to me is we think of like time as layered, like past, present, you know, future.
Linear.
Yeah, linear. But they're like turn your hand out and have it look like a record, with all the rings around the records, like all happening in this now moment.
Yeah. Wow. Way cool. Way cool. I had a session years and years and years ago, and the gentleman, the client was visiting a past life, and it was clear by the way he was describing. It was like 14th century kind of clothing and things, and he was on a horse, and he's galloping, trotting through the forest in his 14th century self. And he comes up to this lake, and there's a steam shovel. And he's saying this 14th century dude is going, "What is that? What is that? What is that?" And it was this, we find out later, it was this exposure, I guess, of the dimensions of time for him for a reason. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I
I'm
mean, but
fascinated.
even then, I mean, there are shifts in the timeline. I mean, nobody could really predict anything because things change always.
Yeah.
I had one that so the past we thought we were in a past life, the client, and I mean she's Caucasian, lives here in the United States in this life, but the past life was a gentleman living in Tokyo. And we're kind of just starting in, sort of gathering the information to figure out more about his life. And all of a sudden he starts talking about, he's describing his house, and he's like, well, and I have a TV up here, and I'm like, that's interesting. And and I have my computer over here, and I'm like, that's interesting. And when we got to that client's high self, I was saying, that can you explain to me why that how is it that that technology was available to him, you know, um, that we have today? And it said, oh, that's she's having a concurrent life, a parallel life right now. And she's having several actually, but that she just tapped into one of them. And it's how you guys have multiple experiences over the illusion of time.
Uh,
Right. So, we try to fit everything into that nice, neat, linear package, but it's anything but, and it's all happening at the same time. So I think when you go to like a place like where you were just talking in Colorado, or anywhere, I mean, it could be anywhere. There's versions of ourselves in those places, and there's if we're all one, there's a Holly me and a Sarah me, and and all of that, and
Uh,
we share and tap
mhm.
in all the time. We just aren't in a linear time frame, um, com com comprehending that on a conscious level.
What I think is interesting is that some higher selves, and I don't know if you guys have received this, but they'll consider this an echo party. Like they say, oh, we've already done this, we've already won. And they say the light always wins in the end, but you can tell the light wins in the end because we're here. And so we've already done this, we've already won. If we didn't win, if the light didn't win, we wouldn't be here now. And we've
Right.
already accomplished all these things, but we are experiencing like an echo, like we just really loved it so much. So we came back, like we are already advanced, but we came back to experience this again because the ascension is so sweet, apparently.
That's funny. That's funny. It's an echo party. I love
Yeah,
that.
an echo
We're at an
party.
echo party. That's it.
It's a party, really.
So this concept of time. So years ago, I actually had Yaron DeWitt give me a session. This is like 10 years ago. And because I'd had a session before and I'd been told that my life lesson was patience. And I was like, yeah, I'm not buying that. And I'm like, I have, a PhD. Like delayed gratification is, I got that. I got delayed gratification.
Yeah,
Like,
so
what's up with that, right? And so I had your own dive into that. Well, what is patience, right? And the higher self said, patience is learning to manifest time. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I can sign up for that. Okay, that's way cool, right? Learning to manifest time. And I left that session. Of course, he's up in North Hollywood in California, and I was staying down in Orange County, which is like, 40, 50-minute drive. And so I leave the session and I'm like driving and I'm driving and I'm driving and then there's a semi in front of me and I'm driving and driving like, oh, I have totally missed my exit. There I have driven way too long. And right at that moment, the semi moves off and I'm at the exit, right? So my concept of time was like already warped. And then also immediately after that session, I used to wear a wristwatch, a beautiful piece of jewelry, and it would go ahead 2 hours, and then behind a half an hour, and then ahead 3 hours, and it would
Oh,
just
that's what mine does all the
yeah.
time. Try
really?
all I'm yeah, all the time. It makes my husband so irritated.
Well, mine's at the bottom of my jewelry box now because it's like, sorry,
Yeah, mine's like 20 minutes off right now, and I just set it, and it's today the 31st.
Yeah. Wait, no,
30,
it's the 30th.
the
Okay,
30th.
it's on the 31st.
Oh my gosh, that's weird. Wow. Are you
Yeah,
time traveling?
I time travel all the time.
I
I zip
love
here and
this
there.
Sounds
concept
like you
of
do
You
too.
know, Holly, one time I experienced it, it was great because I had my daughter Callie with me. So we kind of both knew what was happening at the time, but this is when she was a senior in high school and we had to get over to a university about 30 minutes away for a meeting for her. She was going to be going to that school or taking some classes there or something. But I had to pick her up from the high school when everybody was getting out and there's so much traffic and and then I mean, I had about 10 minutes to get her there by the time I got her in the car and headed out to the university.
and it was
And
allegedly 30 minutes away.
about 25, 30 minutes away with traffic. I mean, we're right at traffic time. And so she got in, I'm like, okay, let's not look at the clock. And we're going to get there with about 5 minutes so that we can park the car and find the building that we need to get, and we're going to be at your meeting just a few minutes before the time. And she just says, okay. And we just, we start driving and I'm not, not driving like a maniac, but and every once in a while I'd be like, kind of just glancing I'm like, and I'd say, okay, we're doing it. And she's like, I know. And, and then we just start talking about something else. And, it'd be really nice when we get there about 5 minutes early. That'll be, we won't have to rush. And she goes, yeah, that'll be really great when we get there about 5 minutes early. And we pull into the parking lot of Drake University and we are 5 minutes early. Somehow we got there in 5 minutes and found the building and got there 2 minutes before her appointment time. So it's malleable,
Yeah.
it's just our rigid thinking and, accepting what we're trained to think about and how that gives us that experience. So if you don't buy into that and you are open to experiencing time in a different way, I think it's possible.
I
You just
really
manifest
wanted
on time. I'm sorry, Sarah.
no,
What?
no. I just, when you get a massage, massages are like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
But if you're working out, it's
it's
like
like
5 hours.
5 hours.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes, yes.
Oh gosh.
I'm going to pause for just a second. We've got quite a few people online. If you've got questions for me or Suzanne or Sarah, please put them in the chat. I'm looking at the chat. Thank you, everybody who's saying this or joining us. And so, Suzanne, how can people get a hold of you? What are you interested in right now? What do you want people to know about in terms of connecting with you?
Well, my website is suzannespooner.com, and that's where all my QHHT information is, and my channeling class called The Art of Universal Knowing. Our Sarah and my Egypt website is ancientlifetimes.com. Beautiful website. So that's pretty easy, and getting ready to publish my first book, and that'll be fun, and um, a cool journey to get there. And I'll have more to say about that later, another time.
Cool. And Sarah, how do people connect with you? How do you want them to connect with you?
You can go to my website, theholistichehypnotist.com. And I had a really busy year this year. I got my first banned book, so my Atlantis book was taken down.
That's when you know
I
you've
wasn't,
made it.
yes, I know, right? So I'm working to republish it with a different cover, and I'm taking out some key words that I think were really upsetting for people. I mean, people that don't want people to know things. So I'm taking out the words I think that got my book banned, and there will still be the original on the black market. I saw that. It's for sale on eBay for like $375.
Yeah.
Um, but but I am going to republish it just so people can have it. Because as you know, when you write a book, it's a bummer when it's not available for people.
Well,
But
that harkens back to Dolores herself, right? She had to create a publishing company.
no, I can see
And
why. I
yeah,
can see why.
yeah.
But I did want to say that Suzanne's channeling class is absolutely amazing because when we've gone on the trips, Suzanne teaches everyone how to do this channeling, and people just love it. Like
Mhm.
you can see them being excited with having this new tool, along the way. And I did want to say, when I first started, Holly, I had clients that when they came in, they couldn't get a session with you because you were so booked up. And did you know that you had a nickname called the Amazing Holly?
I did not know that. I
Oh,
did not know that.
Yeah, it was so cute. It was like,
That is
oh
cute.
wow, that's so cool that they
oh,
were,
I want
yeah.
to put a plug in for the Art of Universal. I've never told Suzanne this. I don't think I have. But I took your course, Suzanne. I took TAUK, and I have a hematite pendulum that I use. And with that particular pendulum, I have a connection to this ET gentleman who's a commander on a mothership called Pladar. And for about a year, until we moved on to other things, Pladar and I still talk to Pladar. We did day trading on the stock market, Pladar and I, using TAUK. Did.
whoa.
I would go into the
Wow.
office every morning, get this, and with my pendulum, connect with Pladar. Of course, I'd always ask him first, what do you want me to know? And he'd have some sort of wonderful wisdom. And then I'd say, okay, ticker, please. And he'd give me the three, the stock ticker. I'd go over to my Charles Schwab app. I'd go, okay, buy. And then I'd go, okay, sell by the end of the session, right? So we had this agreement, Pladar and I, certain percentage in a certain amount of time and yada yada, because he could see exactly what was going to happen. And sure enough, I get out of my session. My phone is like bing, 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 bing from Charles Schwab. You bought this, you sold this, you made this. And it was awesome.
Wow, I have
Amazing.
never heard of anybody using it for that. Okay.
Yeah,
Get
it's
the
crazy.
class.
It is.
I'll
Take
have
the
to add that to the next class, Sarah. I
You
need it.
you
It was
should
hilarious. And then,
stop
so how
by.
we ended, here's how we ended, because it was so much fun. I mean, we did this for so long. And I'm talking, we're making like $400, I'm not talking like millions of dollars. But it was just fun. It was so much fun. And this is about a year ago. I'm talking to Playdar with my pendulum, and I said, ticker please. And he's giving me these strings of letters, and I'm going on to Charles Schwab, and I'm like, Playdar, there's no such stock. And then, get more, could you clarify please? And, he gives me another set of tickers, and it's not a stock. And I said, what's up? Like what do I pick? And he says, any, any. And I'm like, do you mean that I'm manifesting this entire experience with or without you? And he said, yes.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
But
it.
then
I
it was
love
like,
that message.
but then it was great. But then it's like, well, that's not fun. I wanted to be playing with Pladar. I don't
Oh
want to do
my
it
gosh.
myself.
I
Very,
tried to use, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I tried to use like a session with one of my friends to try to win the lottery. So I was like, okay, I don't see why I can't do this. Let me go into the future a little bit, find the winning numbers, and just, you know, say the winning number. So I had her go, look in, see the ticket, and then she just starts bursting laughing. And then she's like, oh my gosh, they are laughing so hard because they said there is no way we're ever going to let Sarah win anything because she's too lazy. She won't do her work. And I was like, what do you mean? And then I thought, that's true. It wasn't meant to be.
When I've ever gone in to buy a lottery ticket, like I know I have the winning ticket. Like I know, and I'm looking at everybody else. Like you'll remember this moment. You'll say, "Oh, I think that lady was standing next to me in line," and I'll be like, "What's me?" And then I'm just absolutely shocked when I don't win. It's just weird. I must be winning on another
Right,
reality.
right. And this is the echo party where you didn't win. There's
That's
another
right.
party over there where you did. Yeah.
Maybe they're worried about you too, Suzanne.
Yeah, I'm lazy, so I would fall into your category with, here's something funny, Holly. When Sarah and I go on these trips together, somehow we kind of merge in the consciousness of the group,
Yes.
and they will talk to me thinking they're talking to Sarah, and they'll talk to Sarah thinking they're talking to me, and it is. And we'll tell them at the beginning of each tour, this is a thing, and it happened, and you can see them like going, okay, whatever, But then we had like one of the great ones was this we had this really sweet gentleman, and I think he came up to you, Sarah, and asked you what your
Mhm.
opinion was.
Uh-huh. We were in the Pyramid of Unas, okay? There's all these portals, and and he was curious about it. So I told him, what I knew about this place and, how there's so many portals and stargates. It's like a stargate system, according to a lot of people's memories. And then he just shared all these things and he was tuning in with me and he was telling me all these things. And then he was just like, wow, I can't believe I'm feeling all these things. And he was just really excited. So anyway, or you could tell the story or whatever, I will, but it was just so funny. So later in the day, he said something like, no, wait, it was like I can only talk to Suzanne about this because I had a really strong moment with her at the Pyramid of
Yeah.
Unas. And I was thinking, that was me, but okay. Like so like he was like, no, because Suzanne knows, okay, she understands. And I was thinking, okay, but that was me, but okay. And then he only would talk to Suzanne about these certain things. So it was like, this happens all the time because Suzanne told this story about a camel on our last trip, like about a client and a camel. And people were coming up to me all day telling me how much they loved my camel story. And I was like, that was Suzanne, but like, it's okay. We just merge and we let people know that this will happen, that they're going to get the two of us confused. And they do. They just can't.
So they're just on a trip with Suzera.
That
Yeah.
right. That's right. We merge and we become one.
Or Sarah Ann. Yeah.
But it's funny because we are so different. Like our, Suzanne almost gets abducted the whole time. It's almost like a group effort to keep Suzanne from being stolen by the people there because, she's blonde and this is like the epitome of beauty in their eyes. And they think I'm Egyptian. So the two of us are very different. Suzanne has like a million future husbands when we go there. Don't tell Catherine.
Wait, one of the future husbands actually also proposed to Sarah after he proposed to me. So, but I told her I got to be wife number one. I'm the boss.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But one of them, like he was so excited, he almost spit out his false teeth, remember? But we do get a lot of perks because Suzanne is so loved by like every single man there.
I think the first time I was there, I called my husband up back home and I said, I was at a market today and this guy offered like 12 camels and 24 sheep for me. And for me. And my husband says, well, did you say yes? Hey, I'm worth more than 12 camels, I think.
And camels don't do well in Iowa, I don't think.
No. Oh, we just have so much fun. I mean, it's
really fun.
We love what we do and we love the groups and they're so sweet. They like seriously, they become like family. And I mean, every group that we've had, we create a WhatsApp group for practical reasons for on the trip to keep track of everybody. But even our very first group that we ever did, they're still active on that and talking and taking trips together. And it's just amazing. I just love people. And it's just so much fun to spend time in such a great place with the native people that know so much. And our clients come from all over the world and they're just so open and so curious about the land and the people and the spaces and the energy. And gosh, it's just I feel like Sarah and I are very lucky to be in this position and we're very grateful for all of it.
Same. I feel very lucky. It's like so much fun. And it was like all because of you, Suzanne, because I wouldn't have done it. I would never
I was trying to push it off on Sarah. Like, you go do it. You should go do this.
I'm not going to do that alone. That would be so not fun, And it's like it just keeps getting better and better. It's so exciting. I can't wait to go again.
So with all this access to ancient wisdom, what do you wish more people knew about? Like, if you could impart some of this ancient wisdom onto the world that you found either through QHHT sessions or through your travels, like what do we need to remember in this echo party?
Well, I know what Suzanne would say because I'm half Suzanne. Suzanne would say.
And by the way, the votes on the chat are for Sarah Zan.
Sarah. Okay, you can answer for me, Suzanne. I'll answer for Suzanne. Okay. Suzanne would say, well, I feel like Suzanne really specializes in helping people realize that all the answers come from within, and do you like how I'm answering this for you?
Yeah, that's the answer. You did
it. But you can actually answer. But I wish people really would have more faith in themselves. Like I feel like people just have been programmed to not believe in not only like the power of their physical body, which is a miraculous machine, but the power of their belief system, the power of like how they are as an energetic being, which is super, super powerful. I really wish people had more access to this knowledge because really when you get into the ancient ways, it's all about that. It's like we are powerful. It's like that's a summary of like the ancient ways, the ancient artifacts, and everything that just allows us to know that we're eternal and that there is nothing that could actually harm a soul and nothing ever happens to you ever. like when you pass, you're still there. Nothing happened to your soul. It's just, something that we've just been programmed to fear. We've been programmed to fear death. We've been programmed to be little. And I really feel like learning about these ancient ways, like you said earlier, Holly, like why do we want these ancient ways back? Learning about these ancient ways, going to these sacred sites and understanding them helps us really understand our true nature, which is that we're very connected to the power of the earth, to the power of these sites, the power in ourselves, and it's all connected. And it's something that we can access very easily. Anyway.
Very good.
Bravo. Good answer, Sarah.
All right, Suzanne, we'll let you answer for yourself.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait, no, it's the Sarah Ann answer, okay? One of the most, well, there's so many fun things on those Egypt trips, but Sarah is phenomenal at guiding us through meditations in these different sacred sites. And she's such a good teacher to all of us, how simple it is to tap into the energy field that we're in and the consciousness field that we're experiencing. And she's brilliant at the breathing and the visualization parts of that. And I think that is such a good lesson for all of us that, we hear probably, I'm going to guess all three of us would say this is true. The biggest piece of advice that the high selves give in a session is to have connection with them, is to meditate, and everybody's like, oh man, I'm a crappy meditator, I don't have time to do that.
Every day in session.
But
he needs to meditate. She needs to meditate.
Yeah. And in these locations, and you can visualize the location. It's not like you have to physically always be there, but Sarah's really great at reminding us just to touch the walls or touch the Holy of Holies, or feel the frequency that's coming from these. And it's subtle, but it's there. And oh my goodness, I think overall, we tend to make things so much more complicated than they ever need to be. And when you take it down to just the simple stuff, it's easy to do it all. Easy to tap in, easy to get your answers, easy to trust your guidance, easy to meet yourself in other times and places. And when you look at it with those eyes, then a lot of the challenges that we may have perceived for ourselves tend to fall off.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't you think, because it's really the fear falling off, right?
I love that.
Yeah. The fear program.
Yeah.
All right. So we are out of time for today. So Sarah Zan, thank you for your time. Just to reiterate some of the things coming through, and you'll see them, but Patrick Lineham was at your regression last night, Sarah.
Oh, Patrick. Oh my gosh, I love Patrick.
Patrick's awesome.
Like a superstar. Patrick, we all appreciate and love you. Thank you.
Lots of laughing emojis, lots of heart emojis. Thank you, beautiful ladies. Thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. And lots of people looking forward to going to Egypt. It's on bucket lists.
Yay. Yeah. Well, if they go to ancientlifetimes.com, they can sign up to be notified when our next trips come up. And we'll be working on those in the next couple of months for 2026. Okay. And then we'll make a really cool announcement when we have the Eclipse trip ready to go.
And you might convince me to leave Nice for that one.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. That would be so fun. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm reserving a spot. You just
yeah, me too. Yep. Okay, Holly is coming.
Yeah.
Oh, Holly.
So then we can have Sarah Zanley.
That's right. And we'll just all merge into one.
Yeah, can we just all merge? Yeah.
That would be awesome. I'm going to be speaking at Gaia this year, and so that's pretty close to you, right? So you could come.
Yeah, in Boulder. Yeah,
in March 16th, I'm speaking at Gaia's Pier for the first time. I'm super excited in Boulder. Yay. I don't know how far that is from you, but
it's about an 8-hour drive. so it's not super close.
We're gonna
Colorado's a
time
really
hop.
big
We're gonna
state.
time hop then.
But if you guys are ever in the southwest corner of Colorado, let's go see the Pleiadian portals. I want,
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
yeah,
Yes, I would love that.
yeah. All right, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, Jennifer says she'll be at the Conscious Life Expo, and we'll see you there too.
Yay, please say hi. Can't wait to see everyone. I love the Conscious Life Expo.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you.
See you
Bye.
later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holly.
Right, thank you,
Hi,
Holly.
Sarah.
Bye, Suzanne.